What you're about to witness is something that I cannot find on the internet. I cannot find in school. I can't find it in a book. I can't find it anywhere. So I just want to remain still with you and show you what I know, and then you take it from there. I'm going to remain still. I'm going to talk about what repeats and what changes. Do you understand? Here we go. Seasons repeat. Winter, spring, summer, and fall, they're all different variables. Calendars repeat. So the Gregorian calendar, Pope Gregory VIII in the 1500s changed the calendar. It was Caesar's before that. The Jewish calendar, the Hebrew calendar, right? The lunar calendar. They're all repetitive, but they're all different variables. Okay, so I'm just going to go over what's repeating in your life. So the calendar and the seasons, they repeat. And they're all different. Okay? So we're going to remain still and we're going to talk about 360, what's repetitive, what goes around and around and around. And we're going to talk about what changes. 666 is repetitive. So it's as if God created everything perfectly and then the devil mocked him. And everything. And that'll be proven over and over and over again, because this is a moment in time where you sit still and you go over and over and over. One thing, that's repetition. And you're going to attach it to everything in your life. Plants, for example. People, for example. Animals, for example. They all reproduce. Repetitive production. Do you understand? We have one God, one creator. Now people, our habits are repetitive. They're all different variables. You know, chewing your fingernails, right? Or the way you eat, the way you talk, the way you move your hair, the way you move your hands when you talk. Everyone has different habits. Our routines are repetitive. Our addictions, some people are addicted to sports. Some people are addicted to crack. Some people are addicted to cigarettes, and some people are addicted to alcohol. Okay? Our addiction is repetitive. Study is repetitive. When you go to school repetitively to study, you're studying the same thing, but the variables in class are all different. Every subject matter is different, but it's repetitive. Study is repetitive. Practice is repetitive. It's over and over and over. You're practicing. Trends, fashion trends, music trends. They're whatever repetitive now, and they're always changing variables throughout time. Traditions are repetitive, something that you do over and over and over again. Holidays are repetitive. Christmas is repetitive, but every year the variables, the gifts under the tree change. Jesus Christ is the gift of God. He never changes. Birthdays are repetitive. Every year your age changes, so the variable, the number changes. I'm just going over what repeats and what changes, okay? So I'm going to attach it to everything in your life. And you can't find anyone alive that does this. Do you understand? Now this is going to prove everything, confirm everything. And it might take you a few minutes to actually understand that. It might take the remainder of your life to fully understand what you're listening to. No two are the same. So every tree in the forest is repetitive. Like an apple falls from a tree, a seed goes into the ground, another tree grows. Another apple falls from another tree, a seed goes into the ground, another tree grows. Another apple falls from another tree, and a seed goes into the ground, another tree grows. It's repetitive. But every tree is different. So is every apple. Same with people. Our fingerprints are repetitive. They go round and round and round. But each one of us are different. There's no two people that are exactly the same. There's twins, but their eyes and their fingerprints are different. Are you remaining still? Are you talking about what's repetitive and what changes for the first time in your life? Yes or no? You know, your tape deck goes round and round and round to play your music. You rewind it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You replay it. Repetition, play, replay. Repetition establishes memory. Remember, remind. Okay? You blink your eyes repetitively. Your heart beats repetitively. You chew your food repetitively. You wash your hands repetitively. The toilet bowl flushes, goes round and round and round down the drain repetitively, a 360 circle. So it's the same like a hurricane, a whirlwind, a tornado. You have one creator. I'm just remaining still talking about everything in your life that's repetitive. Hurricane season is repetitive, and every hurricane has a different name. It's a different variable. All animal instincts are repetitive. You tell a dog to sit over and over and over again, the dog sits, gives paw, lays down. The over and over and over part is how it worked, repetition. And it works in all languages because language is just a variable. Repetitive thinking enables autosuggestion on your subconscious mind. You burp and you say, excuse me, you sneeze and someone says, God bless you, salute, gesundheit. Repetition enables autosuggestion on your subconscious mind. Works in all languages. Language is just a variable. Buying and selling with gold and silver, buying and selling with cash, buying and selling with a credit card, buying and selling with a chip insert, buying and selling with contactless payment, buying and selling with a mask, buying and selling with COVID passport, buying and selling with mark of the beast, right hand or forehead. Worship, marked, or killed. Revelation 13:15, Revelation 14, Revelation 16. The key word here is worship. If you take his mark and you worship him, you go to hell. If you refuse the mark and you do not worship him, the Antichrist, you will be killed. That moment will come. This moment happens in your lifetime. And all I was doing explaining to you what's repetitive. This is all repetitive, and this is all what's changing. You have to admit that the sun rises and the sun sets repetitively. The tides go in and out repetitively. You have one God, one creator. You also have to admit that mainstream media requires repetition of thought to exist. Every repetitive lie led to every agenda. 666. Every repetitive lie, they tell you a lie over and over and over again, you believe a lie. It leads to every agenda. Fame. Elvis is no longer famous to 5-year-olds because Elvis is no longer repetitive. Fame requires repetition. This is why you see actors that are repetitively acting in different variables, different movies, all the time. Pirates of the Caribbean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Matrix 1, 2, 3, 4. It's repetitive and a change of variable. But they do different movies as well. Okay, but it's repetitive and it's changing. So fame is part of this discussion. Just like the plants and the animals and you yourself, and your calendars and your seasons and your heartbeat and how you buy and sell. Now, let's talk about what's repetitive and what's changing, okay? World War I, World War II, World War III. Is it repetitive and is it changing? Yes or no? Let's talk about your technology, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G. Is it repetitive and changing or not? Do you know anybody that remains still and talks about what's repetitive in your life? Is this repetitive? Yes or no? Is that repetitive in your life? Do you know that every repetitive lie led to every agenda? Do you understand that? This has an agenda. It makes you believe that everything's made overseas. Repetition establishes normalization and conformity, broken record syndrome, constructs false belief systems, divides people, manipulates people. Do you understand? And I can talk for hours about the same thing, talking about what repeats and what changes in your life. Like, for example, is this repetitive? Is that repetitive? Does it change? Yes or no? Is it repetitive? Does it keep changing? Yes or no? Are we remaining still and talking about what's repetitive in your life and what changes? Yes or no? Now, I'm born of water. My mom's water broke when I was born. I'm mostly made up of water molecules. I have pumping organs that pump fluids. You can say the same thing. Now, fallen angels can't say that. We battle not against flesh and blood. But to enter the kingdom of heaven, you have to be born of water and spirit. So fallen angels, they're fallen. Do you know what that means? It means they got kicked out. They're not going back. But to enter, you have to be born of water and spirit. It's a filter that God set up. So you have to be born again. So you're born once, born again. That's repetitive, right? We're talking about what repeats, right? And we're talking about what changes. So it's a change from water to spirit. How do you get born again? You believe the gospel. Jesus Christ died for our sins, was buried, and rose again on the third day. He lived, he died, he rose again. Repetitive. What happened before will happen again. The Red Sea moment will happen again. He divided the waters. This time he divides the wheat and tares. It's repetitive and there's a change of variable. I'll give you one last thing and then you can think about it. This was very repetitive for the last 2 years and it kept changing. I'm telling you, all I do is sit still, talk about what repeats and what changes, and it explains every agenda. It proves every lie. It proves every systematic event in your existence. And you never talk about what's repetitive in your life. So that's repetitive and it changes variables, right? This is how all nations were deceived by pharmakia, Revelation 18:23. Did you know that? Something that's repetitive and kept changing, just like every other agenda. This is repetitive, right? Do you know what that is? This is repetition establishes memory. So do you know this has been repetitive, so it should be in your memory. Did you know the first year the player kneeled at the flag in the NFL? Did you know the second year the cheerleader kneeled at the flag in the NFL? Did you know the third year the celebs in the stands, the celebrities in the stands in the third year kneeled at the flag, NFL for Black Lives Matter? It was repetitive and it kept changing. Did you know that? There's going to be a moment in time where people actually have to remain still and they're going to hear the truth over and over and over again. And how does that happen? Well, you follow Jesus Christ. You follow the Messiah. He is the way. He is the truth. He is the life. He is the door. He has no variableness. James 1:17. Yet no one talks about it. No one. The bread of life, the door, the Messiah, the mediator between the wretched sinner and the Most High Yah, Yud-He, Vad-He, Jehovah, Abba, my Father. The Son of God, the Son of Man, the Alpha and the Omega. The Lamb of God who taketh away the sin of the world, the Lion of Judah. He has no variableness. Should I continue? I think you've heard enough. Many perish for lack of knowledge, and every nation was just deceived by this thought process being neglected entirely.